Gynecologists of Reddit, what's the worst thing you've seen? Most awkward experience? My dad is a gynecologist and told me this story. He treated a girl that had green, foamy discharge, who had it for months before coming in. He told her to take the medicine right away and continue it completely. A few weeks later she comes back in and she still had the green foamy discharge. My dad asked why she stopped taking the medicine and she said, "Well, my boyfriend really loves the taste." I was doing clinicals at a large inner-city clinic attached to a hospital. The first patient of the day was a woman in her 50s who had recently had a vaginectomy to try and combat vaginal cancer. They had gone and removed her entire vagina. I've never seen anything like it. After we removed the packing, it was just a huge gaping, dripping maw in between her legs. There was absolutely nothing left of her female anatomy. The worst part was how terrible she felt about the whole thing. She refused to let her husband see anything and was in tears the entire time, telling him he should go. She doesn't deserve to have him now. For the most part he just cried, attempted to hold her hand, and told her he loved her and could never leave. Jin shared a while back, a woman was in for a pelvic exam, is up in the stirrups and my colleague has her fingers in up to the cervix. At this point, something possesses the woman to ask, and I quote, "So, do you ever think about stuffing a turkey while you're doing this?" My colleague, trying to keep a straight face, answers, "No, but now I will every Thanksgiving." The woman finds this hilarious and proceeds to stare my colleague dead in the eye while yelling gobble 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 with my colleague's hands still up her hoodie. I still enjoy telling that story to friends at Thanksgiving. It means more turkey for moi. Not OB-GYN, but still. My first digital rectal exam. Doctor, some old fool, forgot or didn't bother to use lubricant. His dry gloved finger just pierced my ass. I left this meeting bleeding out of my ass. Bonus points, he was my employer's doctor. I had to go through that old bastard's routine medical examination to get a work permit. Former forever Alana here. When I was 19, I went in for my first pap. The gyno asked if I was still a virgin, and I said yes. She said, "Your hymen is still intact. If you don't get someone to break it by the time you're 21, you're going to have to come back so I can break it for you." What a magical first time that would have been. My first pap, it was this old lady. I was so nervous, and she knew it, and all she said to me was, "I'm so glad I'm not one of those male doctors. Their hands are like big old sausages," and then proceeded to check my insides with her small grandma fingers. Not an OB-GYN, but a couple years back I went in for my annual exam, and they discovered I had a second, smallish, sneaky sort of vagina. Apparently this isn't that common, and so of course all the medical students had to take a look, and of course they were all men. It was like a party all for my vaginas. One of my friends worked as an intern with a gynecologist 2 years ago. There was a client complaining that she couldn't get pregnant. She also had been having diarrhea for a long time. The gynecologist asked if she regularly had anal sex, and the woman confirmed that she only did it anally. Apparently her husband had told her you can get pregnant from anal sex, so she wanted it non-stop to get pregnant. Not a doctor, but I had a rather odd experience. Went in for a routine pap at UCSF. My doctor was doing his thing when he asked if a few new doctors could come in and have some hands-on experience. I agreed, and 3 ridiculously attractive male doctors came in. They all took their turns putting their fingers up my vagina, discussing it like I wasn't there. And now I can say I've had 4 different men put their fingers up my vag in under 30 minutes. Not a gyno, but during my first pap, the male doc kept talking to his assistant about how he was craving tuna for lunch. A gyno once took a urine sample to check for something, I don't remember what exactly, but not pregnancy. When she came back in the room she goes, "Well, XYZ was fine, but guess what? You're pregnant." After several seconds of me freaking out and about to start crying she goes, "Haha, just kidding." My sister is personal friends with her OB-GYN. Anyway, she asked him if he ever goes sicked out by some stanky vagina and he said that he had not personally run across any that sicked him out, but that you bitches need to wash your fucking feet. LMAO. After that, I make sure to give the tootsies a good scrub down with the anti-bac soap in the exam room before the doc has to stick their face between them. I went in for a routine exam, and not only was I forced to stare at a picture of a beach scene with a disturbing fairy hanging from it, completely unrelated to the beach scene, but my gynecologist says to me, "Geez, relax, I really hope you're not like this during sex." Yes, because a plastic duck bill and a penis are quite the same. My aunt is a gynecologist and she, very awkwardly, lectured me after a recent client had visited. Apparently this girl and her boyfriend decided to get creative. So they used tuna and milk to, eat her out. The girl kept getting random orgasms in class and went to find out she had maggots. So gross. Just a tip. So one of my mom's husbands was a doctor. He told us about this very large mentally unstable black woman who came in claiming she in labor. He said when she opened her legs the smell was so awful he and the nurse started vomiting. The woman had shoved pieces of chicken up her vagina and expected them to grow into a child. They were completely rotted and they had likely been there for a while. He never spoke about what the removal was like. My sister's boyfriend was doing a gyno rotation. He was quite upset as he was examining a woman that from sight and smell alone, it was obvious she had cervical cancer so advanced that she wasn't going to make it. For the first time on that rotation he had to warn someone about their imminent death. It was all very depressing and solemn, so it was quite a relief when it turned out to be a tampon that had been in there long enough to resemble a tumor. I once had a roommate that was a nasty, unhygienic little troll. She was always funky, but at some point she just started to smell bad. You could smell her rancid cunt from 2 rooms over. Stank up the house. The rest of us living there, 5-person party house type setup, all told her to see a gyno, and she just thought we were insulting her until the stabbing pains started. All the pot and pills she took wouldn't kill the pain, so he finally went to the doc. Same situation as you described, she had lost a tampon up there for months, to the point where it was black and rotting and causing massive infection. She nearly died and would have if she hadn't gotten to the hospital when she did. When I was 13 I was diagnosed with endometriosis. I had to go to the gynecologist about once every 4 months for checkups because my endo was pretty severe and was growing back quickly. My regular doctor was great, but I had to see another doctor while he was out of town. I was 14 at the time, and this other doctor was really rough during her exam, had long fingernails that seriously felt like she was cutting into me, etc. She then ends the whole exam by telling me that I should get pregnant soon because that would cure the endo. My mom flipped out at this woman, keep in mind I was 14, and we never saw her again. Oh, and getting pregnant is not a cure for endo. This is a story from a friend's dad, happened 3 summers ago. An overweight woman comes into the office for an STD test and pelvic exam, complaining of colorful discharge, an awful stench, and burning during urination. She assumes she has gonorrhea. Wrong. It was much worse. He gets in there for the pelvic exam, all the while assaulted by the stench of rot, and finds a fucking dead frog in her vagina. This thing is heavily decomposed since the warmth of the woman's vaginal cavity has helped to speed up the process, and he has to pull it out piece by piece. Needless to say, she also had a wicked beauty. The woman explained that she'd passed out naked and drunk high whatever at some party at her boyfriend's house and figures he or one of his friends must have thought it would be an absolute riot to put a live fucking frog up her vag. She apparently did not seem bothered by the fact that an animal had died and decomposed in her vagina, just relieved she didn't have gonorrhea. And now, I'm gay. Thanks Reddit.